Hi there. So it's been a little while since the last episode. Um, what we had done in the last episode, we had tried to see if we could focus on current events and see what we can take out from it. Because the idea behind these episodes is that we learn something constructive, we learn something in a way that can improve our lives, the lives of those around us, and effectively spread the light of goodness, the light of wisdom, um, which, in the face of the darkness that's been unleashed on the world, has become ever so more necessary, um, even more than it was before. So I thought I'd share with you something that I read last week, which I actually posted about on LinkedIn, and I did try and record it before, but unfortunately, there were some issues with, it seems, the amount of memory left, so I kind of stopped halfway through, and I figured I'd just start all again rather than record the other half and waited until I was in the right frame of mind to do so. Um, so 3 weeks ago, just over 3 weeks ago, on the morning of the 7th of October, during the Nova Music Festival, um, over 250, I believe, individuals unfortunately were massacred by Hamas savages. I don't call them terrorists because terror connotes an idea of self-composure in order to inflict terror, but this is just complete, unabated savagery that was perpetrated. But in any case, the article that I read was about an extraordinary, amazing individual by the name of Aner Shapiro. And Aner Shapiro, at this festival, he had done something truly extraordinary and absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, we're in times where we're trying to wrap our head around the most bizarre and confusing facts, and it is nice to see bizarre and confusing facts in a positive light in this instance. Aner, after the attack had started, Aner found himself in a position where he saw a grenade thrown near where he was standing, and I don't know about you, but my initial response when I see a grenade is run. But that's not what he did. He picked up the grenade and threw it back at those that had thrown it at him. That happened not twice, three, four, five, six, it happened 7 times. And 8 times he threw it back. Unfortunately, on the 8th time, he was out of time and the grenade exploded in his hand and he immediately passed away. And when I read that article, I thought, that can't be right. And I thought to myself, 1 second, where's this coming from? And it wasn't a particularly Israeli or Jewish website that had reported this. And I tried to see whether others had reported the same, and the story seemed to be pretty consistent, because I mean, obviously I believe that there are heroes in these situations, but I just, that kind of courage and fortitude to do that repeatedly, I had to check for myself. And whilst I'm mixed with the feeling of having lost somebody so amazing, I'm also comforted by the fact that it shows the intense amount of courage that we're capable of, and selfless courage that we're capable of. And one of the things that I was actually thinking of only recently after the first recording is that the name Aner is actually found in relation to 3 individuals who Avraham Avinu grows close with, Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. The plains of Mamre, where Avraham Avinu received the prophetic vision of God visiting him after he had done Bris Milah. Is actually this week's Sedra and Vayera. And Aner seems to be the one in charge, whether he's the oldest or whatever reason he was the first person mentioned. But nonetheless, that also took great courage to stand alongside Avraham Avinu against the rest of the world, and perhaps that's the root and source of the energy that gave this special individual, Aner Shapiro, that kind of courage. But when I think about the circumstances, I think about the amazing power that clearly brought Aner to act in the way he did, within a split second decision, obviously, because a grade has several seconds before it sets off, so you're pretty short in time. And this decision was made repeatedly over and over again in the midst of a most terrible situation and tragedy. The pasuk of Yaakov Avinu, comes to mind, and when Yaakov blesses Yehuda before he passes away, and he says, "Go Arya Yehuda," that Yehuda is like a mighty lion, Yehuda Judah, that the majority of the Jewish people today, which is why we're called Jews, is because after the Churban Bayis Sheni, destruction of the Second Temple, the majority of Jews that were left in Israel were from the tribe of Judah, because we, along with two other tribes, were kind of the last to go into exile, and therefore the ones that came back, which weren't dispersed, were mainly those from the tribe of Judah, which in German, for example, Judah, it means Jew, and that really does sound like Judah. But anyway, so this kind of power is obviously something which has been imbued in us and recognized by our Father, and we've received a blessing to magnify that in future generations, which clearly we are. And that kind of selfless courage in order to help and give to others and give them life or allow them to live is truly amazing. But then when you think, how can I achieve something so great? Well, the point here is to actually learn to live together. So it doesn't necessarily require somebody to put their life at risk. Something as simple as giving up 5 seconds, 10 seconds of your time, a minute, 2 minutes, half an hour, whatever need be, checking in with your friends, family, smiling, pat on the back. It can be something so small and so minor, but makes such a big difference to somebody else. And actually thinking about this individual, the idea of the supernatural power, I thought there was something pretty powerful in the message of this occurring 7 times, where he threw the grenade back 7 times, and on the 8th time, unfortunately, it exploded. And we are taught that the idea of 7 is an illustration of the power of nature. So 7 days of the week, and there are many other things that reflect 7, such as space. So we see 7 in terms of time as in 7 days of the week, and 7 points in space refer to 7 locations. So forward, backwards, left and right, up and down, and then obviously the point of origin, which is where you're relating these directions from. And the 8th is considered to be the supernatural, like the 8 nights of Hanukkah, for example, because we achieved supernatural victory. The lights burned for 8 nights, which was supernatural. And the idea that at the end of the day, our survival in itself is a supernatural feat. It's not something which any other nation worldwide, at least, which is still ethnically current, let's put it that way, and actively practicing, has been around as long as we have, or has faced as much persecution as we have. So, that in itself just kind of is I would say, the underlying message that I'm taking from this is that we have so much more power and potential that we know and that we give ourselves credit for, and we have to start believing in it, because when you believe in it, it becomes real, and until you believe in it, it's not real. And we have the capacity for so much goodness and for so much love and kindness in this world, which we just have to keep on working on and spreading. And so may Aner's memory be a blessing for all of us, and definitely an inspiring message that he had given over to us, and what unfortunately, when he passed, and may we all take from this the message that we possess the power to do amazing goodness and kindness to each other and to keep on spreading that light.